Welcome to the GigaSeadramon gameplay guide, guys. I'm having a lot of fun with this deck. This is really cool. I love the archetype. It has a very standard kind of like blue stack base building sort of strategy, and you just climb up and it just does all the work, multiple checks, unsuspends, and you can just threaten a lot of damage with quite a decent amount of control and removal. Let's talk about our opening hand. I decided to keep because I have the 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ideally, usually I want to have see some tamers and mixture of boosts to sort of find other pieces as I go, so I can kind of be selective. But in the situation, if your opening hand has a full line up, I probably would just keep it and forgo all the digivolving effects if I have to build in the raising, just because that at least that guarantees me a possible play and I can climb out and let GigaSeadramon do all the rest of the work. So here I decided to push up because I felt like, okay, you know what, we can go pretty aggressive here and gain a lot of memory. It was nice that we set up that blue memory boost after the draw of the rookie, so we even passed the opponent to 3 in the beginning, but that's totally fine. And now coming back to us, this allows us to complete this play. We get to attack with the Seadramon, gain memory with Sangomon at the end of attack, and utilize the promo Seadramon, which I really like because it gives us the battle protection, which is pseudo jamming for an entire turn. But we also get that lasts until the end opponent's turn, so meaning that they can just easily swing over our body, and then we finish off with MetalSeadramon that unsuspends too. So we're pretty good setup right here. We get to reclimb build a second stack ready to go and raising. And this is where the options where I can see okay, how can I want to extend this further? Do I want to attack first? I can go into Mega CX as well to bottom deck that Impmon if I want to. And again, just build more sources as I climb up. So I have X antibody, you guys can realize, and I really actually like the old X antibody over protoform for this particular build. Usually I really like protoform just because of the recursion and the cost reduction, but I realized GigaSeadramon does cost quite a bit of memory to digivolve, which is actually why I think it's pretty important. So here I didn't go into the Mega CX, I just felt like I can go straight into a Giga, and I can sort of keep that Mega CX for later on if I need to sort of bottom deck stuff that's level 4 or lower, but maybe I should just stack for 0 anyways. And then that means I have a bigger stack because my intention was to actually play out this Seadra X, which bomb decks to level 3 anyways, and then I can actually reclimb and rebuild and work off that level 4 and also gain a memory back with Buka, passing the opponent perfectly back to 3. Giga C gets to unsuspend itself because it has reboot during the opponent's turn. So we have a blocker that can really stop the opponent's attacks with 13k DP, which is quite a decent amount and it's pretty strong. This turn, the opponent has to find a way to answer us already, because if they don't do anything, the next turn we are gonna finish them off. 2 checks with Giga C and then 2 more additional attacks afterwards is threatening lethal already. So they have to once again do something. And that's why I love X antibody, because it allows us to sort of go for the attack in the prior turn, do that 2 checks and really push the aggression, which again, love the blue stack building deck here. Potential OTKs, again, a lot of really good control aspects. But here they're going to be climbing up and they're going to digivolve into their Loudmon here, trashing cards from their hand, gaining extra DP, which is actually going to go above and beyond Giga C. And this new Loudmon actually does quite a lot. It gives piercing and raid as well. So they're actually going to attack over our Giga C there, and we're going to lose the stack. That's why I decided not to have the Mega CX, because I kind of saw that coming. I kind of felt like if they have all those pieces, they can easily actually just run over our stack, and then we will have 1 less level 5 to work with. Although you can make the argument that I should have digivolved just to cycle an extra card, but I just felt like that wasn't necessary. I'd rather just keep it in my hand so that I can use it in the following turn or any future potential clapbacks, because I do want to intend to bottom deck their stuff, and it's just really good for stunning down their things if I ever have the X antibody stack in there, so I can utilize the second effect, or if I have a regular Mega C too. But yeah, we do lose our Giga right here, which is pretty crazy, piercing 2 checks as well. And at this point, they're returning the favor, throwing the lethal on us now, because with the new Heavy MetalSeadramon Ace, it gives all their evil dragons and dark dragons rush, blocker, extra 2000 DP all turns, which is pretty insane. So I'm going to go ahead and use the scramble, which thankfully I run it as a 1-off, which really helps me climb up right here. So then I can actually digivolve for way less cost to climb into that level 5 and still keep turn, and then continue to play on there. I can bomb deck that Impmon, so that gets rid of an extra attack right there. And then we can just relax a little bit. I'm contemplating on playing the blue memory boost or not, but I felt like, you know what, there's no need. I was gonna threaten the ace the next turn, but I think it's just a better idea just to go ahead and go into MetalSeadramon, De-digivolve that, gain the ace overflow, making it a free evo. So then now we can go into GigaSeed to play out the Mega CX. So this is how you usually want to play this card. By playing it first, you resolve GigaSeed's effect to De-digivolve and then use Mega CX to bottom deck the level 4 or lower, pretty much getting rid of the entire stack. And now we push the opponent back to 3 memory. So then we're sitting back in square one, kind of like where we were in the previous turn. We're threatening lethal against them once again. So one of the nice things is that when you play GigaSeed, you don't always want to Digivolve MetalSead in your stack without thinking twice. You only really want to make sure to have MetalSead ace underneath if you really need to remove something and De-digivolve them or bottom deck them, and then you stack the GigaSeed on top. And that's why, again, the X antibody, the good old BT9 works very well, because we always just slide it in underneath our stack and we can gain the full effects off to proc our GigaSeed effects instead of necessarily having like an ace overflow sort of liability on our end. But now this is where the opponent makes another comeback where they just hard drop their heavy metal ace. And since they have 4 fewer cards in their hand already, they trash more. They get to play the same loud one that was in the trash, the new one, trash more cards, another 2, and then they get to give extra DP buff, raid, and because itself has rush anyways, the new Yuki allows them to attack a player at the end of turn, and then they actually get to use the raid to redirect into our GigaSeed, ace overflow. Now they end the board with a heavy MetalSeadramon that can play another potential heavy MetalSeadramon with 0 cards in hand. This is crazy. This game is actually super fun. We're having a lot of fun with this because there's a lot of back and forth, and it's pretty intense right here so far, and things are looking bad. They can actually play the heavy metal ace off of the old heavy metal from EX7 because it's 8 costs or less, and once they play that, they get the on-play of that heavy metal ace to play out another thing, which they play another loud, and that basically ends their board right here. A level 5 with 3 level 6s that has double the heavy metal ace buffs of extra 2k each, pumping up the entire board by 4k. Man, with 4 memory, this is pretty tricky for us to come back, and thankfully that's why we set up the scramble, and it's really handy now because now we can actually stack our top of the deck, play a rookie back out, and I'm deciding how I want to do this. I need to get rid of that board. Next turn, I'm basically completely annihilated, and there's probably nothing I can do to counter them. So I'm thinking of putting the MetalSead ace to the top, and then I could play out the Sango to search to guarantee the hit anyways. Otherwise, I can play another rookie. But this is fine because now I have that piece, making sure that I grab it, I really need it, and we get to draw the additional card and see where we can work off of from here. Now, I have plays. I have a regular Seadra X to work with. I don't have a regular Seadra, which would be ideal, just because I can, you know, climb a bit more, digivolve a bit more, but I'm going to go for the X antibody tuck underneath, just so that I could stun down the Yuki Tamer to stop them from attacking into us at the end of the turn, because that can give them more plays. Digivolve for 2 at the back and then pass them perfectly back to 3 by ending with a Mega CX, which will stun down their heavy metal. Since we have X antibody source, we get to gain the full effects right there. Not going to be able to bottom deck anything because there's nothing that's level 4 or lower. But here, they know we picked up the MetalSead ace, so we are going to threaten that against them. And this is a really, really tricky situation because if they attack into us, we will just blast, and then we will just bottom deck one of their aces, gain ace overflow, steal the turn back, and just go from there. Or if they don't attack, we just go into MetalSead ourselves and then bottom deck their ace to make it a free evo anyways. So this is pretty intense right here. You can make an argument that they can't really actually overtake us here because they could actually swing for 2 checks first. Even if we ace them, they may have a Yuki that they can use to finish the attack, but it's stunned, so we completely stop them. But even when we go into MetalSead ace, it actually prevents them from suspending because the memory side is going to be at our side with 1 or more memory, so we stop them from suspending anyways. But here they continue to end this board and crazily try to go wide. They play another heavy metal ace. They go ahead and play out another body. But yeah, guys, keep in mind the Yuki is still actually stunned until the end of the turn thanks to our Seadramon X, which really stopped here. But wow, this is such a crazy board. But you guys see what we have in our hand. We're gonna go for that play. We're gonna go into MetalSead, De-digivolve, bottom deck the ace, making it a free evo. We can't push out because we're gonna go for this one and only card that is gonna save the day. And that is gonna be OmniX, because we're gonna wipe their board, all delete, so then we can continue to stay in there and get rid of absolutely everything. So I'm just trying to see how I want to sequence this. Do I want to evo into it before I attack, or do I want to attack first and then evo into it? I don't think it really matters at this point, because it's just going to wipe out everything. So because of OmniX right here, I'm going to choose that Loudmon to stay. Everything else gets deleted, and then afterwards I bottom deck it. I gain a ton of Ace Overflow, gain an extra memory off Sango here as well. We finish off one extra check, and then we can go just reset up right here and present for lethal. At this moment, they pretty much have 0 cards in their hand, so they're playing off their top deck, and they're not able to answer this afterwards anymore. And as you guys can see, they draw 1 card in their hand. It's a scramble. There's nothing they can do to make a comeback, and we finish it off. This game, we're facing off against Chaosmon and the Axel trait deck. Pretty interesting matchup overall. We are going second, and we're not going to keep our hand. We definitely want to mulligan, because we want to see our 3, 4, 5s, and 6s and searching cards so that we can climb up into our stack efficiently. I don't see a line up that way, so I feel like, you know, this would be a good one to hopefully get a nicer hand to start off. We can play from there, and we get to get an extra draw because we're going second too. But yeah, back to this matchup. It is quite back and forth. They have a lot of power, which can be pretty crazy, and they can do a lot of cool combos. We want to be there first before they can. We want to establish like the potential OTKs or the potential damage deal that we can go for to take out all their security as quickly as we can before they're even able to get there. It takes them a little bit of time to find and set up for their pieces, so we can actually force them to make awkward plays into answering us, and when they do, we can capitalize off of that to turn things around. So we can Digivolve in the Crabmon, Digivolve in the back, and give them as little to work with as possible. That way, now I have the Seadramon ready to go in the back with jamming. I can go ahead and start making attacks and checks and going into their security as quickly as I can in the following turn. Here, they have the Ukomon, so they are going to be able to search, but they're going to go ahead and swing with it because they probably have a feeling we're going to get bomb decking it anyways. As soon as we can get into the Seadra X, they find us an extra delay boost that we can utilize there. Now we can go ahead and attack with the Seadra, gain a memory, jamming, go into Seadra X to also bottom deck their rookie, and then Mega C to unsuspend, and then we get to continue to ramp up there. No X antibody found just yet, but this is now where we top deck it, which gives us the access play that we want to go into, because now we can go into the Mega CX, attack with it, and then draw a card first because it has 7 or fewer. Digivolve into GigaSeadramon, uses when Digivolving effect to play out the Mega CX, and then go for 2 checks. With the Mega CX, it helps us threaten against them with a Metal C Ace, and then we reboot block her, and then we put them to 1 memory in the perfect position that we really want to be in, because now we're threatening lethal against them. Next turn, if they don't answer this board, we just go for 2 checks and finish it off with Mega C on the side. What can they really do here? What can they possibly do? Can they even climb up? 1 memory is really all they have. How can they actually counter this board? They have a level 4 to work with, but we have answers, which is still pretty good. We don't have protection. That's kind of one of the downside with this kind of deck, but that's okay. You know, with all that aggression, that's what happens. And this is where they're going to go for the chaos, singularity of chaos to play out the Bancho Leomon. Bancho Leomon on play, they're going to resolve the Pinamon egg first to Digivolve into something that's a level 5, I would assume, that gets to reduce the cost by 2, so they pay 1 memory. They're going to end up giving us quite a lot of memory right here, and then that way we can potentially go for a bigger clapback, but it really depends on what they come down. They go into the Loader Leo, which gives us minus 3k DP that lasts until the end of opponent's turn, and the Bancho Leo is going to de-digivolve 2 and minus another 5, which gets rid of our anything that's within that stack. Wow. That's pretty problematic now, because now next turn, if they have a second level 6, they can easily go into Volduramon or another Bancho Leo, and then they go DNA into a Chaosmon, which can be scary. So I felt like this needs to be addressed at some point. So I'm going to go ahead and Metal C Ace to bottom deck that Loader Leo, so that de-digivolve it first, and then bottom deck their Liomon, so then they lose that secondary level 6, and then we're sitting here thinking, okay, what can we do? We can probably just take it slow, evil in the back, and then that way, maybe in the following turns, we can reset up and then go for the final 2 checks and then go for that lethal play. And the downside is with Bancho Leomon right there against this deck is that we don't can't really do too much to it if you think about it. Like Metal Sea Ace can De-digivolve, which is great, which only works against them when they have a stack. But a big body like that, GigaSeed just generally doesn't have that kind of form of removal unless when we get into like Omni X, which you guys seen before, which will be something that would be really nice if we have in this moment. But they come down with Chaos Singularity, playing out the Bancho Leo, which De-digivolves us again, and then they get to gain Ace Overflow. They can hard drop that Lyomon, and then they can also end of turn DNA into Chaos Valder Arm, which will swing for 2 checks and prevents us from unsuspending and also prevents us from having any on-play effects for that turn. Now we're in a sticky situation. Now they're pressuring against us with lethal, which is really tricky. They have 2 redirects within that Bancho Leomon too, so we can't go for that Seadramon combo to swing 1 check jamming, you know, and then cheekily gain a memory. We have to forcefully climb up, and this is actually a problematic situation now because we actually need that 1 more memory in order to actually try to stay in the game and try to do something. We have X antibody, and then we have to skip that to go into the Mega CX, but you know, I really wanted and needed that extra memory so that I can go into GigaSeed. At least that way I can stand a blocker against them. But with Singularity of Chaos and return, they trash our security anyways. Double Bancho Leo is pretty deadly. De-digivolve minus 10k, and they finish us off just like that. Alright, next game we're facing off against Sakuyamon. Not Tau Loop, but actually the stack version of Sakuyamon. Very interesting because we're both kind of stack building based decks. Sakuya has a lot of crazy combos that can really easily climb up with a lot of draw power, and they can actually go super aggressive and super wide, kind of similar to us. But I feel like we have a little bit of a decent control because we have De-digivolving, stunning, bottom decking, which is pretty helpful here. Looks like they bricked up a little bit here. They just only was able to go into rookie, pass us to 3, but this gives us an opportunity to digivolve into our own rookie, put down Yao, Xinglang, and then we have a memory setter putting them to 1. They go for TK, finding a piece that they probably need, and this is one of my favorite basic combos early stages is to go into Seadramon with Crabmon underneath that has jamming, 1 check, gain a memory back, and then we can continue to play there. Although looking back, this could have been a little bit dangerous. Maybe I should have just tried to digivolve in the back, but I was kind of also missing a few pieces, so I felt like I really wanted to push out Cycle, and then I at least can hatch an egg, digivolve into my second rookie, and then climb up from there to find all the other pieces that I need, just because I don't have any searching cards right there, and I could get punished because they can come out and easily get rid of that stack. But that's totally fine because, like I said, I felt like I have enough pieces to digivolve into a second stack and then sort of go from there. But since they weren't able to deal with us during that turn exactly just yet, we can go ahead and go for that advantage. Repeat that same combo, Seadramon attack, gain a memory with jamming, go into Mega C, unsuspend, and then now go into Mega CX to go into GigaSeadra with X antibody underneath, and now we can kind of like go wide, and we always kind of want to try to play out a level 5 off its effect, just so we can potentially threaten an ace, whether if we have a Metal C or not. Gain that memory with Buka, passing them perfectly back to 3 with their memory setter TK, but we hit into Rika, which helps them find the pieces that they need and they can climb up, but we can pressure so much damage once again, and we're pressuring lethal in that particular same situation, just like how we always want to with the game plan, putting them down to 1 security left, and the next turn, we're going to finish them off. So if they're not able to do anything in this turn, we are going to have in the bag for sure, which really forces them to come out and see what they can really do here. Again, if they try to attack into us, we can always threaten into a MetalSeadramon ace, whether we have it or not. But we've drawn and cycled a lot of cards, even though we don't have it in our hand. Really important to always play it as if you do. And since we have a level 5, we can easily climb up to a level 6 if we need to. Otherwise, we have to Crabmon in the back to digivolve into 4 and reclimb, which is always really nice here in that perfect situation. Looks like I'm gonna go for the plugin S to go into their Sakuyamon here, finally coming out. And then they get to resolve a bunch of effects. Draw 1 with their Vixie and their egg. They also get to give us security attack -1 with DP reduction as well in their stack since they did use an option. They also get to draw off Sakuyamon too and then use another option pretty much for free. And then Rika can suspend and they can kind of like juggle from there. But they really need to find a way to stop us from attacking. Since they give the security attack -1 to GigaSeed, it's not that big of a deal. GigaSeadra still have security attack +1 by default, so we can still go for those attacks, and with the Mega C inheritable, we can tuck the Mega CX that we have on the side, or the Crabmon, whatever we want to unsuspend, to go for that lethal play. So they end with a Chaosmon here, which is going to prevent us from unsuspending. They can suspend us down, which ideally is going to be the Giga C, just because that's the one that can make the multiple attacks. They have a blocker just to further defend themselves from the lethal. Also, just to clarify, in the previous turn when they went into Sakuya, they use the yellow scramble, but they don't use the effect to Digivolve, which is why they can play out the token first, since the option was still used, and then they just hard evo Chaosmon on top of it so that they can have that token. Because if they use this yellow scramble to go into Chaos, the token actually won't be able to resolve and come out as well. So here we're going to attack with the Mega CX. We're going to use the Yaoqing Lang to tuck sources underneath. Really important to always keep in mind to tuck in aqua trait sources underneath where the Seadra and the Sango are aqua traits. So then we can gain the memory and also have jamming, bait out that block potentially. And then now we go into our Seadra on the left side. Now go into Seadra X to continue to cycle and draw more cards. And then we go for the attack. We also have battle protection that lasts until the end of the opponent's turn. So I'm here trying to see, okay, with 2 memory, I'm not going to be able to optimize and use all of it here. So I'm going to have to find a way to pass the turn. I was contemplating going into the Mega C to unsuspend, but it's actually not necessary just because we have battle protection anyways. So we're just going to go for a search with blue memory boost to find a piece that we need. Probably going to grab the Giga just so we can climb into another one and then do a whole bunch of stuff off of it. Now with Giga gets the reboot, we still have a blocker on the board. We still have 5 security against their 0, which means we're really pressuring against them. And that's kind of how it goes with this matchup. We played a couple of games and it's always been either like they go crazy, they pop off really fast and turbo really quickly if they have all their pieces. If not, it's us kind of doing it for them. And then one of the other player will have to like play from behind and catch up. And it's pretty difficult depending on how the momentum is established afterwards too. And we're sitting really well because the Chaosmon that they have on the board is really just going to have like security attack +1. It's just going to beat down. It doesn't have partition, but we don't really worry about it anyways because we don't have any large upper end removal. If anything, we can always De-digivolve them, but I actually don't mind. We can just let it stay there and do its thing, and it's just a big body, a big beater with no defense, whatever. They do have a lot of inheritables that they can utilize if they actually use any options, if they have, which they probably do. But with 3 memory and they just hatched their egg with a rookie in the back, I don't really expect much from coming up here. Maybe they can hard play that Taomon Ace to get their engine going, but since they go for the Renamon, tells me they might be still missing something. But this is pretty much gonna secure it in the bag for us. It looks like we're pretty good here. They could try to Digivolve into a 4, but they're gonna pass the turn to us, pretty much. They go into QB. They're not going to be able to play out a Rika either since they have 2 or more tamers. So maybe they threaten a Tau Ace, but that's not really going to affect us either. They get to give us security attack -1 to the Seadramon on the side, but our Giga C is still fine. And one of the cool things with Giga C is that as soon as we attack, we get to play out a source anyways. And then we can actually De-digivolve the QB, which pretty much plays around a Tau Ace just in case if they want to give us security attack -1. But Giga C again has so much damage anyways, so we're able to just finish it off just like that. Make sure to get your very own Initialize Spark collection on the AVAULT store right now, and definitely watch the latest Battle Vault episode to get exclusive discount codes for this latest drop. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.